Hey, Twitter world, this is yours truly.
Why don't you say YouTube world? Can you be dynamic here, bud?
Oh, it's a joke about
Yeah, I know, but OJ Simpson.
yeah, I'm not sharp, let's say that.
Yeah, I can tell.
I make square jokes.
I guess you're good looking, eh? Is that it?
Yeah, it's tough. It's every girl wants someone who's funny and all I get is weird.
Yeah. Hello, gentlemen.
What's going on, Mud? What's going on, Sarah Vuth? Congratulations on today.
Yeah, I got the Steelers. God, I feel good about the Miami cover. That felt good.
Oh, I couldn't believe that. Item, let me take a look.
It was a bad beat, like when he didn't go down.
Oh, I was so mad about that. And then he pulls his hamstring, and then
Well, he
and
was trying to get a touchdown.
yeah, I can almost guarantee Tyreek Hill has touchdown stuff
No, I maybe
in his
he's not
contract.
a smart guy. Like they're just trained to be high octane, all right?
Yeah, yeah, I think you're spot on there. Item, I don't think I'm going to be betting this game. Steelers have 41% of bets, but they have 50% of the dollars wagered. They opened as 2.5 point favorites. They moved to 2 point underdogs, just like the fat guy called it in the picks video. So kudos to fat guy. One of his better calls that I can remember. It's
Market shift, yeah.
it feels like you're hitting like at a very high rate as far as
Market
predicting.
stuff,
Oh,
yeah.
it's unreal. It's
Yeah, I
very
know.
impressive. It's something that him and I haven't talked about. I'm just letting him know now. And
He's gonna get under the table pretty quick here.
yep, I forgot my lipstick, so you'll have to make do. The but there's not a. Is there anything that you like in this game? I'm just looking at the market. There's nothing market wise that stands out.
From this point, give me momenta. Uh, you know what? I wouldn't mind Pittsburgh minus 2.5, an alternate line.
Yeah, to juice it back up. So
Yeah,
I don't I don't actually know if that's offered at Pinnacle. Let me take a look, guys, just to get an idea of what the juice would be on that.
oh, it's offered. I just don't know what the number is.
The highest that
My
we could that you and I could get it to, it looks like -1. It's very hard to tell with how they've got this set up so poorly on their website, but let's see if I can find it elsewhere. I just have to block out the screen, guys, for a second, and then I can pull it up on here for you guys to take a look at.
Is that covered on Stream Big Rye, the top?
Yeah. All right, we're back.
That might be an idea.
The so alternate lines. You can bet Steelers -3.5 at +191, but they don't have 2.5 listed here.
That's what? Why that doesn't even make sense? You can't reverse tease it.
Uh, at Pinnacle, at least, they let you do this, but like here's what it looks like. So if we wanted to, right now the game's at 2
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do
right
that.
here, and then as we scroll back up, we got -2 +134 would be the best that we could get.
Well, that's what I would like then.
Yeah.
I want that extra half point. I guess I'll take a 2 push frequency. But that's if I'm suggesting a bet, I rarely do it. This is what I would suggest: Steelers -2 at +134. I like that. I do like that.
Just pull up. What's going on? Mudhole, not a great day, but saves some face in the afternoon. Saravu said, "Oh yes, thank you. Any value on tonight's game?" Fat Guy likes the Steelers -2.5, but you have to have like +130, +140 to take that. Michigan said first round is looking horrible for some of us. Lions lose. Packers fail to cover. Mudhole -2.5 is +125 at MGM. So at MGM you are able to get Steelers at -2.5.
Is it +135?
+125 at MGM. So the juice isn't great.
No, it's
that.
-2 is better juice on pinning, right?
Yep.
Huh. I don't know.
I'm getting different market numbers on Action Network for some reason. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I've got mine updated. We're at 15,000 bets, so just check how many bets you have. That's probably a good indicator. It might be earlier in the week or a different time. It looks like you figured it out. Dylan has the Steelers, and I got Bills, and I'm one game back, so could be a 6-way tie for first. Curse those Finns stealing the spread. 3 losses on the late slate for me. So close to a T-shirt. Yeah, it's been a good day. For myself, it was 4-1. I'm not on anything tonight, Josh. Fat Guy said if you can, tease the Steelers to -2.5. Try to get +130 or better, if possible. Mudhole said at MGM it's +125 at that. But it's whatever you can get it at. -2 +132 at Pinnacle if you're teasing the Steelers. No, Corey. I'm counting that separate. Just talking about NFL. And don't be too worried. I think I'm still up on NASCAR or F1 stuff from you. From the play before. How about the Washington football team taking the lead in the division now? 3 games left, and they went out. They're in. Yeah, I just did the whatever it was Hamilton like +150 or whatever odds I got. No bet tonight for me, Tony. Fat Guy likes Steelers if you tease it up to -2.5.
Reverse tease.
Yeah, reverse tease it so you can get juice at like +130 and better at -2.5 for Steelers. That's his suggestion. Saravuth says, good day for me. I'm going to lean 1 unit on Pittsburgh. Good luck, Saravuth. Haskins in at quarterback is very risky. I trust Peterman over Haskins. Yeah, Haskins was fine. Like, it wasn't great tonight, but he got the win. I know he got spotted a lot of points. I don't think he scored on offense. But a win's a win. Corey said all my bets hit aside from Hamilton today, and he was P3, so close, missed a 920 and 390, but it is what it is. Saravuth gets Steelers plus 2.5 at minus 110.
He's getting Steelers plus 2.5
at minus 110.
Well, just take the money. Ask him for a money line price.
Yeah, the money line would be better.
2.5 points is essentially useless. Like, it's not useless, but I mean, it's you're better off taking the money line.
I just got a message from my brother. He's on the Buffalo Bills minus 2.5 tonight.
Well, good luck to him.
Tony was able to get Steelers money line at plus 110. Item says finally a good Sunday night football game. Finally is right. I think Washington football team is the moneymaker. Washington has been really fun this year. I've really enjoyed watching them play, especially with Alex Smith back in the mix. Hopefully he's healthy enough to come back and continue playing. What's going on, the second coming? How you doing? Long time no see. Mudhole got Pittsburgh money line at plus 153. Is that one of those boost games, like a DraftKings boost? Fat guy started my bankroll at $50 and I just got to 500 slow and steady. That's
over how long? How long? Slow and steady isn't one season. If you did that in one season, that's not slow and steady.
Josh said we'll be looking to see how James Conner gets implemented into the Steelers offense. I'm sure he'll be used quite a bit. I'm not sure how healthy he is, but if he's healthy enough to play, they're probably going to be using him.
Yeah, I need him in fantasy. I got kind of jagged really bad, unlucky in fantasy. I have Derrick Henry and Keenan Allen and Devontae Adams, and I still might not win. Like, I'm an underdog.
I haven't looked, but that would be
I wouldn't bet it then, Saravuth. That'd be me. Why don't you just say I want money line? Like it's very similar. You know what I mean? If you just ask them, if it's a guy, you can just ask them. Say, I want to bet them just to win. Do you know what I mean? I don't want the points, and I want a better price. Like, if he's refusing action, then one season, come on, that's not slow and steady. That's 10x. 10x.
What's going on, Mickey? The second coming said he's on Steelers plus 3 and finishing a teaser at plus 8.5. Corey, are you talking about playoffs? Who's going to come in? There's still so much that can happen in these last few weeks. There's still 3 games to be played.
Play with my lighting.
Okay. It's with 3 to 4 games left. It's still way too early to be able to make those predictions. There's so many games that you have to look at from so many different teams. Second Coming's thinking about taking the under. Just be wary that the line opened at 47.5, got bet up to 48.5. There's more money on the over. There's also more bets placed on the over, so I'd be wary about betting the over under. Yeah, 4-1, Sarah Booth. If you were following me, that's what we're on. Fat Guy likes Steelers minus 2.5 at like plus 130 or better. I'm not on a side really. Contest wise, let's take a look at who we have. Contest wise, we're on the Steelers minus 2.5. Giants and Jags killed you today. Yeah, I was on the Jags. That was my one loss for today.
Yeah, I'm on the Steelers. So
the champ is in the building. Jake Jacobs, what's
Hello.
going on? How much longer do we have till kickoff? What time is kickoff for Sunday night?
Decisions, not results, Sarah Booth. I want you to be a long-time winner. So I'm trying to give you an insight on how to do that. And that means getting good prices. That's what it means. It's a big deal. Oh, there he is. The big-titted wonder. No one's called out who it is. He used to play for the Ravens.
Thank you, guys. Hello, football fans, or untouchable, should I say. Hey, YouTube world. This is yours truly.
No, not Saragusa. Cody might be in his name, whether it's first or last.
Oh, now you're just giving it away.
There we go, Max Klutz with the winner.
In. That's impressive. Even though Fat Guy gave you a real good. Terrence the Dog Killer Cody. Oh, I didn't know that. In the league where they play. So we still have the Steelers to play, but if the Steelers somehow don't cover the spread tonight, Miami's going to take a 2-game lead against the spread over every other team.
Well, it's not somehow. It's very likely. It's 50-50, more or less.
It's been a very, very impressive year from Brian Flores. 2 years from Brian Flores. I thought they took this song out. I haven't seen this song in forever. It's probably just because I don't actually watch the stream before the game or the actual game before the game starts. It's very, very unlikely, Max, that the sports guy is profiting off of his teasers. I don't even know who he picks or what he does. It's very statistically unlikely. Terrence Cody starved his dog. Yeah, I think I know where the food went. Sports guy's ears must be ringing on Sunday night and Monday night. Like, who the F is talking about
probably.
Are you guys able to see who has who the next 2 games and who can win the contest? Yeah, I'll do that, Corey. What's going on, Don?
Max, as far as profiting, I don't know, because think about it. When he says that's good for a 3-team teaser, they don't pay out very much, and he's 70-30. I'm pretty sure that's well below what you need to actually hit. And not to mention too, like there's variance to it. So even if he got like all but one right, if that one he took in all of them, he would still lose. Like, it's just tough.
This is what it's looking like, Corey. Sharp Dylan's got Steelers and the Browns. Yeah, I believe you, Josh. I just haven't seen it. I thought they might have gotten rid of it. Well, proof's in the pudding. See it now. You've said it. You saw it last week. Mickey's on the under tonight at 48.5. Fat guy, do you want to explain what the difference is between a spread bet and a money line bet? Don was asking.
Love to. So a money line is just win or lose, win or lose. A spread bet is obviously you have to cover a number. Either you're given some points to lose, or you have to give away some points to win. I.e., in this game, the Steelers are 2.5-point underdogs, so they can lose by 1 or 2 or win, and you will win your bet of plus 2.5. Whereas the Bills are minus 2.5, so the only path to victory for them is to win by 3 or more points. The difference between them is you get the 2.5 points you get on the Steelers is I guess a safety net, more or less. But a money line, there is no safety net. It's just win or loss. Now, why is it better to take a money line than a spread? Well, in some instances, the points aren't worth as much as what the money line could pay, and it's really, really minuscule. We're talking like a 1% difference. That can happen too. That can happen as well in like it's better to take a money line when instead of 7 points, but that depends if the market doesn't line up, because you have to come up with a money line to spread chart and then compare the two. And the other negative to money line bets is that they have a higher variance because they're less likely to win. So you're going to lose more than you would if you took the points. However, the payout is larger, right? Like, that's why I don't mind taking them. Like, for instance, Steelers -2 at Pinnacle is it's a reverse teaser, is plus 130. So now I get an extra roughly 35%, 33% on for every dollar wagered than I would if I just took them against the spread. And the difference is really, really minimal.
Yeah, Mickey was a Washington football team. The money line was a good result, but there wasn't anything wrong with taking the points either. It was just with how the line moved and the market went, I just figured the money line was the better option. But San Fran could have won by what, 2 at the end there, or no, they would have tied it up.
They would have tied.
They would have tied up that game if anything changed. I was thinking that it was a possibility that the Washington football team might have taken a safety at the end, but never materialized. Like, I don't get it, because when San Fran has injuries and they win, everyone's like, "Oh, San Fran's great," and then when they lose, everyone just says, "Oh, San Fran has injuries." Like, what is it?
Sorry, say it again.
Oh, Corey just said San Fran just so ravaged by injuries, and I'm saying, like, when San Fran loses, everyone's quick to make excuses for them, and when they win, it's like, "Oh, San Fran's great." You know, it's
Well, the market reflected that. You know, if they were healthy, they would have been 7.5-point favorites.
Yeah. Well, that's good, Corey. That means that if you're the only one, so this is actually really, really good strategy, and I want to talk about this because the Fat Guy and I do a lot of this stuff behind the scenes, but we don't actually talk about it. We don't talk about some of this stuff a lot during this, and this is, I think, the perfect example. So there's 9 teams left that can come back and win this, or who can win this week as far as this is concerned. And Corey, because you're the only one with that iteration, and that iteration has a 25% chance to hit,
roughly,
that means
yes,
you have a 25% chance in winning this week and getting that t-shirt,
despite what should be a 9-1 if it was random.
Yeah. So you actually have a pretty strong chance in winning compared to the other 8.
Look at these names. I got Bumberbean plus 20.5. It's gonna be hard to beat that. Sharp Dylan is a joke in itself, even though that's the name he's going by. That was a joke anyway, so I kind of like that one too.
I like all of them. Like, somehow they get funnier and funnier every single week. I don't know how it's possible, but you guys are killing it. It's Corey. That might be a sore spot for Fat Guy.
Where is it? Fat Z can't score from the 1. I mean, it's true more than anything. So, Sharp Dylan here. Oh, don't worry, we know who you are. Yeah, Elliot. It's accurate more than anything. Now, Bumberbean's got to be Jackson. That's my guess.
I think so too.
That's my guess from the personality of these names. Or it would have been you, Mickey, and since you didn't say anything.
I missed what happened on that opening kickoff, but it looks like the Steelers are going to be in terrible field position to start this drive. Bumberbean is a joke. Mickey Hill took a college team. What's they're like Bellarmine or Bellarmine or something.
Bellarmine,
like
yeah.
Bellarmine, and none of us knew what Bellarmine was. At least I know the Fat Guy and I didn't know what Bellarmine was, and I don't think Mickey did either. Mickey's Juan Rivera.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to remember what it was, but it didn't matter what it was as far as the Bellarmine or whatever. I can't say it. I said Bumberbean, and now it's been a thing ever since.
Fat guyism, yeah.
Don, I wouldn't focus too much on like must wins or clinching. Like, I don't think there's a chance maybe the Steelers can, but especially when betting, don't worry too much about the clinching stuff. It's always baked into the line and usually over exaggerated by public bettors.
Here's the thing. That's a big misconception. You think bad teams are going to play any worse because, do you know what I mean? Because they're out of it. That's just not how it works. Just because a team needs to get in doesn't mean they will. It happens all the time. Don't forget, every game is the bad teams are playing with their resumes. Players on bad teams want to get on good teams. They want to keep their jobs. Because don't forget, there's going to be 350 draftees and UDFAs that come in the league that want their job. So if they're really bad, they might not get another kick at the can. It's very competitive.
Untouchable with the who dat.
Oh man, 0 out of 2 eyebrows.
The thing about the Jets is there's going to be some nice lines for the Jets the last couple weeks.
It's hard to take anything though. Like, it's hard to actually bet it, even if you get 21.
$24,000 bets on this game, so it's a healthy bet game tonight. And I'll keep the live lines up for you guys. I wonder how much mobile quarterbacks help out offensive line ratings for Pro Football Focus.
I'm actually worried about the Steelers' offense because I felt it was kind of gimmicky all year, and Washington was able to play pretty strong against it. So, I mean, I don't know. That was really good coverage, or sorry, pass protection. By the way, like it's with all of that, they couldn't get anyone open. That was interesting.
I was going to say also, I don't even mind because there's a chance he makes the catch. There's a chance he gets the PI on that play. There's a chance it gets intercepted and they get tackled down at what? The 10-yard line, wherever it was. It would have just acted like
Absolutely.
a punt.
The only thing is, though, is the other routes.
They should be winning because there's one-on-one coverage in at least 3 spots.
The other routes, though, were far away. So if Diggs doesn't make the tackle, he's going to make up a lot of yardage on an interception. That's why I always like when they do those bombs, but the other routes expire within 10 yards, because then if it does happen, there's another opportunity to make a tackle. It's on the menu tonight. I got some pita bread and little olives and tzatziki, and then leftover roast chicken and vegetables.
The old smorgasbord special. Live line, Bills minus 130. On the money line, the OU 46.5 with slight juice on the over.
I just had an idea. When I become older and destitute, I'm just going to grow this beard longer and I'll become Santa. Well, it's an easy cash grab every December. Like everything, Santa is a Greek invention. I got a little bit better than that, Zaps. But yeah, very, very similar bet. So let's go Steelers.
Yeah, keep in mind, Max, that 24,000 is just at the books that they're tracking. So there's obviously a lot more bets than just 24,000, but that's what they're tracking. And Mickey is right. Dan Bailey does owe him money, and Dan Bailey probably owes a lot of anybody on the Minnesota spread today some money. Mike Zimmer said about Dan Bailey, we're not really worried about his feelings, and that makes sense. They're there to win games. The Jets were on a heater. Kansas City's won outright in their last 5 games, but they're 0-5 against the spread, and it doesn't even matter. People still pile on Kansas City every single week, and I'm not gonna say that because Kansas City had a push against Tampa Bay, so I think it's a little bit hyperbole, but the line did get up to 3.5 at one point, so I remember when Dan Bailey was the most accurate kicker in NFL history, so it's just things change. Corey, I don't think it's going to be much different than probably Bucks -2. Maybe it'll be Bucks -3.5. What do you think Bucks Falcons opens at in Atlanta?
Bucks -3.5. I like the Bucks today. I'm glad it panned out. That was one of my bigger plays today, so I'm quite satisfied. How many drops are we going to have?
Yeah, that's bad from Deontay Johnson. I guess you were a lot further ahead than I am because I just saw it. The uh, yeah, the Jets are what? Let me take a look at their closing line
Bad.
against the spread.
Is there anything better than roast garlic? Honestly, I don't think so. It's like the best flavor just before it comes bitter. So you almost have like a hint of it, but it's sweet still. Oh,
Zap said he took his chances with the Bears today and it paid off. Yeah, congrats on that one. That one must have felt nice because it's pretty much locked up pretty early.
big time.
Yeah, I stayed away from the Bears Texans game. The market was split pretty evenly. There was a lot of games today that it's what I like to call I've coined the term Vegas middle, and that's when like consider tonight's game like there might be a lot of people on the Bills spread at -2.5, but then there's a lot of people on Pittsburgh money line. So if the Bills win by 1 or 2, Vegas does very well. For tomorrow, 48% of bets are on Baltimore, 65% of the dollars wagered are on Baltimore. The Fat Guy and I didn't plan this, but we're both wearing Raiders gear today, even after their loss.
Boy, are we true fans.
I've got the Raiders ugly Christmas sweater on.
Your mom bought us both this stuff.
Yeah.
It's my favorite hat.
Yeah, the public hates Denver, so it's teams like Denver and Washington, at least to start the year. Bengals had a little bit of love because of Burrow. Washington has love now, but for some reason people still do not like Denver. And people love Carolina. Fat Guy and I also love Carolina, so we picked Carolina in the contest. It was a very close play on Denver, but I stayed away because of the late line movement. What's going on, Jamie? Chiefs get another win under their belt, so very, very good. And Chiefs are cheering for the Bills tonight to put them in the lead in the AFC. Cole Beasley is the most slept on wide receiver. He's got nice rapport with Josh Allen, and he's been quietly putting up good numbers this year.
Finally, holy. Oh! Enough of that Korean mukbang, whatever.
Baltimore, like when you're talking Baltimore, Cleveland, Baltimore has just been coached so much better, and it's going to be interesting to see how Stefanski is able to do against specifically Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
Well, we got an interception here for the Steelers. I'd like to see the Steelers run the ball a bit better.
Josh Allen saying he needs to be better.
Yeah, well, clearly. Yeah, they only have one run. 6 pass attempts.
Yeah, the old
This is
arm
against
punt.
This is against a team that doesn't particularly do well against the run, too. Look what Tennessee did to them. Tennessee's the best running team, so there's that. I think Chris Carson did well against them as well. I don't know how many times they've played, Don. I think Buffalo upset the Steelers a few years ago. That was a Stevie Johnson game. I don't know how often they've played. It's hard to say. It'd be a really small sample. So, Josh had mentioned about the Raiders fizzling out, but I mean, how big's their sample? They just haven't. It's only been a few years, so.
Anyone see the Geno Smith revenge game? I saw him fumble a botched handoff. That's what I saw. But I had that game up. I turned it off though because it was just, what's the point? What are you learning about Seattle? What are you learning about the Jets in that game? There's not much to take from it. Seattle did what they were supposed to do. Everyone knows Russell Wilson's awesome, and the Jets are bad. Yeah, they're just not a good team. They're poorly coached. They've got bad players. It's not going to translate. Mickey said, as it stands now, the Packers are the #1 seed. And
Yeah, Greg Williams. Well, Greg Williams is definitely the problem with that defensive outing.
Yeah. Yeah, that Seahawks line just kept climbing, and usually I'd be all over like a team like the Jets, but the line kept climbing, and actually a majority of public were on the Jets, and that's just not a good sign.
I think the Jets are trying to go for last place. The tank is real, I think. That was a nice run by Connor.
Yeah, especially since Edmonds met him in the hole and he still managed to make a miss. Third and 4. Nearly picked off after the ball is tipped up into the air. Jonathan, welcome to stream. He said Jets even struggled against backups.
Yeah. Well, that's essentially the team that they are, right? They've had, like, they still have a couple good players. Like Quinnen Williams is still a good player. You know what I mean? Mekhi Becton, like like there are some good players. They're a bad team though.
Gase is going to get fired at the end of the season or off season, and they'll start fresh from there. And the Jets are going to have whatever it is, the top pick or top 2, top 3 pick. Bills are going to have 3rd and short coming up. Oh, yeah. Fat guy, did you see what happened with the Chargers at the end of the first half?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I saw the end of the game.
There's no timeouts. There's 3rd and 1, and they are they're at like the 7. And they go to run a run like a kind of look like a draw up the middle.
Yeah.
It gets stuffed. So it gets stuffed with about 15 seconds left. And the offense went to line up to spike it. But obviously it's still like now it's 4th and 1 with the clock running. And then they tried to run the field goal unit out with like 6 seconds left. And like obviously they didn't get anybody on the field in time or off the field in time. And they left 3 points on the board. Well, they actually left. Could have had 7, right? So they left 7 points on the board at the end of half. It was very interesting to watch.
It's coaching and aptitude. That's it. 2 easy words from Zaps. 2 easy words. I saw some stuff I didn't like in a bunch of the games, though. You know what I mean? Like, trying to think of one in particular that I really didn't like. Like, it's nothing crazy. I didn't like that Tyreek Hill didn't go down in bounds.
Yeah,
that was bothersome. It was annoying.
Well, it took the Chiefs' win percentage from 100% to, I don't know, 95. Like, I know it's, to most people, they're going, 95% chance they're still going to win, but, like, a win's a win. Like, if you can guarantee a win, you take it. But a bonehead play by him, and then somehow Flores kicks the field goal, which is the right decision to make there with 20 seconds left. in a 2-score game. Commentator also pointed out that Lynn recently had taken charge of the special teams too. That makes sense.
Yeah, he did.
I don't think the public is going to be too strong on the Chargers. Like, the people still remember that the Chargers lost by 45 points at home to New England.
Mr. Toddfield's MIA because perhaps he doesn't want to catch flack on his Saints loss.
Mickey, how are you doing in fantasy? The Chargers are a team that has the potential to be good, but I think Anthony Lynn is holding them back. And Herbert's played well, but like, Herbert's still a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. I like John Gruden. I do. I think it's been tough, and they're going to improve. They're taking a really long approach, and I think that's the right idea.
Gruden has a 10-year contract, and I got a feeling pretty much no matter how it goes, even though it has been going really well for that organization, that he's going to get a pretty good chance to last those 10 years. So they're able to build that team and take their patience that other teams might not do. Spider 2Y Banana doesn't seem to be working. There's a lot of advanced analytics saying that Derek Carr's played well this year, but I've been not a huge fan of Derek Carr's decision making the last couple seasons.
You don't like his WPA, win probability added.
Yeah,
that's a stat that is more qualitative than quantitative, let's say, right now. Yeah. But some of his decisions, completing a pass at the end of a game can look like it's a good thing, but it's not necessarily. He's the only guy I've seen throw it away on fourth down more than one time when they're deep in the hole. I can't believe they're not running it more.
Mickey brings up a good point. He says he feels like it's going to be easy for the Raiders to convince free agents to go there.
Yeah, that's a great point by Mickey Hill. So their future might look good.
Well, if Carr's going to take what he gets, and that's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with checking it down. Like, if that's what you're getting, but
not if it's pressing, Big Ryan. He does that too often. Well, I think a lot of Steelers, Don, they probably are a bit bigger. I feel like the Steelers are a heavy team.
Vegas Super Bowl, it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, escort services? Yeah, you're probably going to catch a guy or two.
Can you guys remember the last game Al Michaels did?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Can you guys remember the last game Al Michaels did? I feel like it's been Tirico the last 2 weeks. I'm wondering.
Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, I've been to Vegas many times, Corey. I know the. I also like they do. What should I call it? That. What's that card grift? 3-card Monty. They do all the time in between the hotels. That's a fun one. Just watching them, see if they can hook anybody. Wow. I thought Connor would be playing. I'm surprised. They just might be overworked, Mickey. As far as product, that remains to be seen. I don't know if Michael Irvin's going or not.
There is a very, very slight chance that Vegas could run out of hookers and coke if the Super Bowl is held there.
Are you handicapping it?
Yeah.
Well, LA's not that far away. I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Well, from my underground behind the scenes experience, I know that a lot of crystal meth comes from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Like the hokiest guy in the world. And you throw pizzas on roofs too? Am I the only guy that was like that just wasn't interested in that show?
I liked it.
I like season 1 and then I was like, I'm good.
I haven't even seen season 1. I started halfway through and enjoyed it.
Mind you, I'm a grump for stuff that's popular. It turns me off.
Was Oz popular?
Not when I went to high school. It was known as the gay show that came on after Red Shoe Diaries. It was popular when it first came out on HBO, I'm sure. But I was like 8. I don't think I would have got it.
Jesse.
I'm gonna have to watch that later, Corey. I can't listen to sound, or we'll get a copyright strike. I see it though. I'll check it out later. Max, you're sweating the Steelers bet. There's still lots of football to be played.
Oh, Max, it's no big deal. Don't sweat anything. You can't change the outcome of this game. I'm on the Steelers with you. It's 0-0. Reasonable chance. Probably a very small dog right now, considering they don't have the ball.
He's got a proxy in chat tonight. Yeah,
Nice.
He's in the
Nice
year
stop.
2077.
What is it? It's a game? Like what's the hubbub of this cyberpunk thing?
So I'm gonna get some of the details wrong, but it's been a highly anticipated game that was supposed to come out years ago, and
Oh, that's what it is?
they kept pushing it back, and they finally released it. And apparently there's a lot of bugs, and the game's been essentially crashing for everyone.
Isn't
who
that the one
plays
thing
it.
you're supposed to avoid?
Yeah, so they keep saying they're gonna patch it, and
Oh, how many patches are you gonna need?
I don't know. Probably the same amount as Ray Rice's ex-wife
Holy
or current
jeez.
wife. I don't know.
Holy jeez, that was cold blooded. Unity.
The only cold-blooded part was me saying X, because they're probably still together. Oh, Brandon
Very
said he's playing
un-Steeler.
it. Brandon, is the game any good? Has it been shitty for you? What's your experience been? I'm about to get the channel demonetized. Is there football on Saturday next week? That's awesome. Oh yeah. Somebody just got crunched on the sideline. I don't I just don't like, guys run at 20 miles per hour, and they play sideline to sideline, but somehow everyone just gets to stand by the sideline. Like, it's so
Yes.
unnecessary to have. There's 300 people surrounding the field for some reason,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, even Tyreek Hill had a touchdown today where he wiped out at the end. Did you see that?
No, I did not see that. Was an end around or?
It wasn't on the end around. He had one later on, I guess. I missed it live, but I saw the replay, and he was running so fast in the end zone that he slipped on the concrete or whatever it was behind the end zone.
Why is there even concrete behind the end zone? Like you couldn't just put something over it?
Yeah, it seems like a huge safety hazard for all of these players. They're not going to run a play here.
Red jerseys and white pants? And then are they going to occupy the United States? Paul Revere going to have to rat on them?
All I know is that Vanderbilt can wear those jerseys or look like the Red Wedding.
Vandy? See you, Brandon. Have a good evening, sir. Yeah, they caved in. I thought that was a lot newer than that, but
What are the Saturday games?
Panthers Packers. Oh, that's going to be a nice spot.
That's going to be a fun game.
Well, we already know where we're going with that.
No spoilers in chat, but Fat Guy, what do you think the line should be for Panthers Packers? Does it matter where it's played?
Yes, it does to me.
Okay,
See you, Brandon. Have a good one.
I'll check. Carolina at Green Bay.
Okay. Green Bay -7.5. And you know who I like. And I'll also bet them. If I can get an alternate line of -2.5, I would like that.
I think it's going to be Green Bay 7. I'll take a look at what it actually is. Well, it's good for us. It opened at 9. It's already been bet down to 8.5.
Sorry, say that again?
It opened at 9, and it's already been bet down to 8.5. Buffalo at Denver is the other game. Have a good night, Brandon.
Wow, they're really fighting for that ball.
That looks like a fumble.
That does.
The Detroit Lions did cover today. They were anywhere from 7.5 to 9.5 point dogs, and it was a 7-point game.
Bills laying 5 at Denver. I think a lot of that. Huh. Interesting. I don't think so, Mickey. This is an old time Steelers game. I haven't seen the tenacity though. Just surprised that they're like this is the offense they're coming out with. False start. Wow. 2nd and 5. Got the Steelers at Vono. Got a reasonable price on them just to win outright, though. They're small dogs. Yeah, I had the Lions today, Mickey, they covered, which is nice. Only by 0.5 point, but what are you going to do? We'll take it. Benny Snell. There we go. Got a little run game action. There we go. Pittsburgh moving the chains. Yeah. I don't care if it's, even though I have fantasy implications on Connor, but I want him to, it's fantasy. It doesn't matter. It's, like they should be able to run the ball here. I'm not saying they have like the most talented guys back there, but I really don't mind the Pittsburgh's offensive line. They have, I don't know if he's active. Pittsburgh has a 6'9", 370-pound offensive lineman. I mean,
Banner?
I don't know what.
Or is it someone
Is it
else?
Banner? No, it's not Zach Banner. It's Daniel. Man, how do I remember this stuff? I saw him in the preseason. I'm like, why aren't they playing this guy as like the swing tackle? Like on some packages, like it's a sub package, right? I haven't seen him all year, so who knows?
Well, Zach Banner's on IR. He's 6'8", 361 pounds.
Yeah, it is. It is him.
So he was put on IR. I'm not sure when. Looks like September 20th. So it happened near the start of the season or before the season, right?
The other guy I was thinking of was Daniel McCullers on defense. 6'7", 350. Holy. I'm 6'6", 300 and not muscular. Look at this guy, man. I would imagine they have joint injuries. I can tell you since I was 220 most of my life at Vono, 215. As I got heavier, my legs, the joints hurt way more. It's not close. It's not natural to be that big because I can't imagine. I don't think your joints are stronger whether you're bigger or bigger or small. I think they're all probably similar strength. I mean, a good look is the NBA 7-footers. Very rarely do those guys not have injury-riddled careers. How about Leonard Fournette, a healthy scratch? That makes sense to me.
Well, like to me, it's not even news. Like it happened.
Yeah.
Like you keep going on. Like I don't think it changes the win chances. If anything, Leonard Fournette had, as far as I can remember, at least 2 drops on very, very easy catches.
He had 3 in one game.
Yeah, it was 3 then. I don't see a Bills player at the bottom of the screen.
I would imagine gymnasts do. That makes sense to me. Stretching must strengthen your joints, right?
I don't get that last play. Sorry, I'm cutting you off here, but I just don't get that last play. The Steelers had one of the gunners at the bottom of the screen. There was nobody on him, and it's 4th and 3. You can't throw the ball 10 yards to.
I didn't see that.
Pick up that first down. That stuff drives me wild. Like, if that's how you're gonna line up on that play, like take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Well, I was looking for a fake punt, but I saw that they had 3 linebackers, so. Ted Washington is the GOAT. Yeah, absolutely. Don Terry Poe has become kind of the new Ted Washington. He's not going to have as long a career or as good, but he has been decent. Well, you shouldn't draft running backs in the top 5. Just a thought. Just a thought.
Well, let's list off some of the other top running backs considered the top running backs of the last few years. Ezekiel Elliott, as you like to say, Corey, he's Fat Zeke now. You've got Le'Veon Bell, who can barely get on the field in Kansas City. Like, it's just not a position you want to be investing a lot into, money-wise or draft capital-wise.
Sid Vono, I think the hefty lefty passed away. Jared Lorenzen, I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah, I think he did as well. I know
Yeah,
he
yeah, he
was
did.
playing in the Arena Football League after the NFL.
He got a ring with the Giants. 6'4", 285. That's pretty generous, I'm gonna say. Our friends used to joke about him all the time. I think that was my nickname when I got heavier, even though I'm not lefty. Gurley, yeah, there's one. Melvin Gordon was a high pick.
Where was McCaffrey selected? Yeah, Gurley's another guy.
I think weightlifting's brutal on joints. Like brutal. So is playing on turf. I can tell you that right now. Every guy I know that lifted serious weights has had some sort of neck or elbow problems. One of the two or combination.
Yeah, the only thing that happened to me is I burned the roof of my mouth from eating too much pizza.
Yeah. Speaking of which, has the quality of Costco pizzas gotten better again? Or is it... Because remember how good it was and then it just went right in the toilet?
Well, that's bad enough where I haven't ate one per
Wow.
a year at least.
And you're the reheater king, so that's unfortunate for them.
Yeah, that's... You lose key customers when you have a watered down product.
That's right. Yeah, Larry Allen's a boss. I know a guy that went to Sonoma State with him. Oh, wow. He ran a 4.7. Wow, Dylan, mic drop. Dude could lift 700 and runs 4.7. Yeah, the guy I know that played with him at Sonoma State said he ran the 4.7 without tying up his shoes. So that's pretty impressive. Well, yeah, good example of weight cutting is there was one of my favorite UFC fighters. I used to watch UFC a lot more back in the day. So Kevin Randleman, he used to walk around at I'm gonna say 280, and he used to cut to 205 to make middleweight in Pride or light heavy in UFC. And he died a very young man. I mean, obviously he took an immense amount of steroids if you saw any of the pictures of him, but I want to see if this is actually a fumble.
It sure looks like it.
Oh, easy fumble.
It seems like a football move after the catch, so.
But yeah, Royd's entire exactly. He had kidney failure too. I think that's how Kevin Randleman died. My favorite Randleman story is when he fought Nakamura at Yoshida or Yakamura, I think his name is. I don't know his first name. And he had a punctured lung the entire time. He had it for 8 months, and he fought through it, and he thought he was out of shape, even though he'd worked on cardio. He just only had one lung working the entire time. Well, that's how you die at 45, despite being at least visually an incredible athlete.
It'd be interesting to see if every NFL player had to train for MMA, who would be the best? Because there's already been a ton of success between NFL and MMA. I feel like, at least genetically.
It's probably going to be a DN, I would imagine. Oh, Fedor was the legend. He's still my favorite, Dylan. Fedor turned me on to it because my cousins are a lot older. So, and they all had good jobs, and they're 3 boys, and they used to they still lived at home till they're like 30. So they probably had the most technologically advanced basement because they all used to pitch in on that. So I used to watch fights and stuff there. It was unbelievable, the sound system and stuff they had, and then that made the experience all the more better. In theory, Zit Phono. Yeah. Wow, he just got like punched in the back of the head. It looked like Connor did. Pride was unbelievable. The show, the freak show matchups, there'll be nothing like it ever again. It's really unfortunate.
I like the yellow card, red card system that they had. If you weren't being aggressive enough.
I don't think Pride was before UFC, but it was better. The yellow card system was the best thing ever. No one ever got a red card, but that's a touchdown. James Washington. Wow.
Contested catch.
There you go. That's a good start. 7 points is a lot right now. Points are at a premium.
Washington turned Levi Mitchell inside out.
It's a nice start. I'm trying to think now who would be the best NFL player to fight UFC.
Well, Mickey's choice is Aaron Donald.
Yeah. I think he's a little. You want to be lanky, I think, though. Aaron Donald's up there. I might go Chandler Jones. I mean, his brother is probably the best fighter of all time. Why don't we just go lateral movement, right?
Yeah,
I bet you Chase Claypool's up there. Very strong, quick guy. What would he fight though? He's got a tweener weight, right? Because it's 205 or 265. So you want to be 220 to cut down to 205 or 280 and cut down to 265. So
another strong day for our handicapping UFC friend, who he had a $5 parlay to win 900 plus. He hit 2 out of the first 3, which were both underdogs, and then the third one was another big underdog. I convinced him. I told him he should cash out. He half cashed out, so he still made 16 times his initial investment. But ended up losing the last bet, which was a 7-1 for Brandon Moreno to win by decision, and Moreno ended up as a draw. It was very, very close, and arguably he could have been the winner in that fight.
All right, I think he's incredible at what he does, but this is a good example about knowing what you're talking about. Our friend that we mentioned, as far as UFC goes, best I've ever seen probably at a sport, has an excellent grasp on how things should go. The choices he makes gambling is infuriating. I mean, he does it for recreation, but he does these. Oh my goodness. He does these weird parlays that are always one away, and just like, please just bet them individually. And he always tries to get very difficult and try and bet the how they're going to win and when they're going to win it and stuff, rather than just liking the fighters. So anyways, it's I'm glad he did well. Jonathan said in high school he weighed 200 and wrestled 285. How many 285 85-pound high schoolers are there? I'm trying to think.
That brings up an interesting point, right? Because I'm going to guess, Jonathan, that you were or are a very good athlete to start out with.
Yeah, exactly.
And the higher up in weight or height, usually the athleticism tends to drop. So
exactly.
Strength-wise, it'd be tough to compete against someone at 285, but if you
had a position on them, what difference does it make?
Yeah, if you're a pure athlete, then you could get it done.
Oh,
I remember in gym class we did a wrestling thing, and I was the smallest guy, big guy.
Really?
Right?
Were you?
Guy. And
that's weird.
Somehow it ended up. I don't even know why he was in this, but it was like a battle royal style wrestling. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing in high schools, but that's what they did.
We're Canadian, so we don't really actually have any interest in sports as far as in high school.
Yeah, or have wrestling. Like, wrestling's not really a thing, so I don't even know why we were doing it for gym. But somehow it was just me and a kid with Down syndrome at the very end, and I got ragdolled. And I even tried to like crawl off the mat, and he pulled me back and had his way with me. And that's when I knew I liked being thrown around, or I don't know. I don't know what the funny.
You really
word is.
screwed up the punchline of that joke. That
Whatever.
Actually happened, though. That's a real story. I don't like your chances against anybody, really.
No, especially
male,
someone with
female, else.
Yeah, superhuman strength too. No thanks. Late round pick Gabriel Davis here can't bring in the catch on the sideline. Zach Ertz got the shit end of the stick today. He made an excellent catch on the sideline that was called a no catch. I don't know why.
Nice start from Jalen Hurts, by the way.
Yeah, especially in a game that they were not supposed to win. But it's going to put a lot of question marks on Carson Wentz. I know everyone, or a few people have said already how, Wentz was the problem the entire time. I don't think it's quite as simple as that, but Hurts at least gave them a better shot to win than it feels like Wentz has most of this year.
Cleveland Indians are changing their name. Looks like I'm going to be buying merch with Chief Wahoo on it.
Oh yeah, Jonathan said he was third ranked in state at 215. It's why he bumped up. So that's pretty cool, Jonathan. Congrats on that. Catch you later, Corey.
See you soon.
Carson should be traded. Are you talking about Chris Carson or Carson Wentz?
Dr. Ben Carson.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's talking about Carson Wentz. It's a huge cap hit. You got to keep him as a backup.
Yeah, they don't have much choice. It's unless they want to just take on a ton of dead money.
Well, they would have to trade him and a draft pick for someone to pick that contract up right now. That's what I would think. Much like they did with Brock Osweiler and the Browns.
It could happen. Just there's a lot of incentives not to. The only place I can see him going is the only person I think that could vet for him is Reich. And I know they talked about it again today on the broadcast, and I just don't know. Like Indy, I feel like Indy has so much more opportunity to do other things than trade for Wentz. Well, didn't the Bears go with Trubisky instead of Mahomes?
Yes. Yeah,
That was
and
the
Watson.
same- that was
Yeah,
the
in
same
fact,
draft.
they traded a lot of draft capital to switch spots, one up with the 49ers, who threatened to take Trubisky, which they were probably not going to do. They ended up with Solomon Thomas, who hasn't worked out so far, but I would call a better draft pick, especially with all the haul they got. Well, Mahomes wasn't picked by the Bears. I mean, it's that didn't happen. The Chiefs had to trade up to get him.
One of the rare times in history I can remember trading up working out.
Yeah. Jordan Love could be that way for the Packers, but he's going to have to wait a long time, I think. I don't know. They can franchise him though, Don. So they're going to have all the power, Dallas. So I think they franchise him this year, but there might be some sort of respite or something because he didn't actually play. Yikes. But Dak might want out, but they do have the franchise tag, and that could lock him in for some time.
I think this year, especially, Dak really proved his worth to the franchise, and but who knows how? I forget what his injury is. It's gonna be one of those things where he might not come back 100%. The Saints screwed your parlay up. I think the parlay screwed your parlay up. It sounds like if you just bet straight up every game, you probably would have won out, Ryan, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I think too about parlays. It's always one team. It could be any of the teams, though. You know what I mean? Like, it just you happen to see an unlucky iteration. So this is going to be PI, I think. I think Eric brings up a nice point here.
Yeah,
NFL players will be.
I don't think it's unpopular at all.
I think that's reasonable. They would need some training, a lot of it, but at the heavier weights, I think they would have a pretty high advantage. There aren't any lightweight NFL players, so they have the best big athletes. You know. Yeah, I did well today, Ryan. Did real well.
I used to really like reading Bill Simmons' columns, and one of his columns that I really enjoyed was he talked about how good U.S. soccer would be if some of the top athletes in like the NBA and the NFL played soccer. And I feel like the same thing about NBA to NFL. Like LeBron James would probably be an excellent tight end in the NFL.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like,
yeah. With the right training.
On par, maybe better than Gronkowski, which is...
Oh, please. You can't just jump right up to the top.
Well, it's like you're talking about one of the best NBA players of all time. And
yeah,
that's
but that doesn't translate necessarily. Well, no, but his practice. He practiced his entire life to be this as well. Didn't just happen overnight.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's one of those things where if he decided to play football, though, instead, it's just hard to... It's hard to argue. I know it's
I think he'd be successful just because of his unusual size, speed, strength, he would make it. To give him that sort of trajectory, though, I think is lofty. So, I mean, could he have been better? Sure, but I mean, it's hard to imagine that he's going to, get as lucky as to be as good as Gronkowski too. There's also a host of injuries that come with playing football that are a little bit different than basketball. So,
Yeah, Brock Lesnar, tried out for the Vikings?
yeah, he played some
Or he was
preseason
like
games
a
for the Vikings.
yeah.
D tackle, pretty light D tackle though. He's not that big of a guy. I know he looks massive. He's still not that big of a guy in comparison. There's 20 guys on both teams. That's, well, maybe not 20, maybe 12 on each team that are bigger than him.
And
yeah, go for wrestling champion. Exactly.
I feel like Brock Lesnar's more of a entertainer than like an actual athlete. Like I'm talking like top tier NBA athletes, not not a practice squad guy like Lesnar.
Lesnar's still a good athlete. He's probably one of the better athletes ever in the WWE, but it's that's a far cry from what's going on in front of us here.
Like keep in mind, like Dwayne the Rock Johnson played, or at least tried to play CFL, and he played for what, the U.
Diggs with a big play for the Bills.
Nothing drives me crazier than watching secondary players dig in their heels and move backwards.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like what are you doing playing football?
Like I don't even understand what the Steelers defender guy was doing on the sidelines. I think it was number 20. Would you rather have Tomlin or McDermott?
Great question. Great question. Great question. I'm gonna say Tomlin's a better motivator of men, but I would be satisfied with either coach. It depends. Do I get Tomlin with a large budget to fill out the rest with X's and O's guys, or do I get a small budget? If I get a small budget, I'll take McDermott. If I get a large one, I'm gonna take small budget McDermott, large budget I'll take Tomlin. I think Tomlin is better with a good crew around him. McDermott can do more with less, but they're both good.
What did you end up finding, Eric? And what type of sample did you use? Like, were you just checking this year's games?
That was a weird call.
There was an article written by Sports Insights that talked about betting um, money lines compared to spreads, and they talked about how betting NFL money lines when the spread was 2.5 to 6.5 point underdogs created like a really nice winning units, like even more so than betting the spreads because of the payouts. And like the win percentage was something like, I don't know, 30-40%, but the unit payout was like, I don't know, 40 units over like 4 seasons or something like that. I can find the article, see if I can post it.
There's a chance that it was very cherry picked though.
Yeah,
The results.
so
Big Rye mentions that all the time, but
it's something that's interesting to think about though, because people are so quick to, like, even for the Fat Guy and I were pretty quick to bet a spread before a money line, but that doesn't mean that there isn't opportunity for money line plays. And even Fat Guy tonight liked Pittsburgh minus 2.5 at plus 134, I think it was.
yeah,
Rather than actually taking, the Steelers against the spread, because the chance of it being a 1 or 2 point game on either side is very low.
very low. Yeah,
And so instead of taking, the Steelers plus 2.5 and getting paid, with the negative juice, you might as well take Steelers minus 2.5 and hope for, a Steelers 3 point win.
I like those. I will. The only negative to it is I like that the idea of those on higher total games that are close in spread but high in total. I don't mind the say it's a 2.5 point dog, but the total's really high. I'd like it to make them a 2.5 point favorite, because these lines weren't really offered up until this year, at least I remember. But I like the idea of turning a 2 point underdog to a 2 point favorite to give it good juice, especially in a game that is high, has a high total, because it's less likely to land on those lose by 2, lose by 1, win by 1, win by 2, like in that 4 point parameter, that 4 point number line, where I would win on the spread and lose in the alternate spread. So whereas like if it's a 37 total, it's way more likely that they win or lose by 1 or 2. So that's something that we'll be experimenting with. I don't have concrete math to back up my hypothesis, but we will in the new year. Oh, unfortunate. Love Jackson.
So here's the example. I got the article pulled up. I also posted the link. So they said betting the underdog in the NFL on the money line from the 2007 season to the 2011-2012 season netted 62 units. But it's one of those things, Fat Guy mentioned it, that when you look back on any previous data, there's always going to be ways that you can find that, oh, this would have been successful. But I'm curious, as from 2012 until now, is this still a winning play to make? I don't know. And just because maybe it has one losing season, it doesn't mean that it's a bad play to make either going forward. But it's just one of those things you have to keep in mind, that even finding things using past results is not always going to be a recipe for success going forward.
I would say it rarely is. Well, not
the
rarely.
The books do this work as well, and they're trying to get better. They're trying to get sharper, and we've seen it with even how the lines work, like from week 1, week 2, week 3 until now. Like there's a lot more opportunity in the early weeks in the NFL than there is near the end of the season.
Now, Eric, what you're talking about is a being a middler or a middling play. And what middlers do is it's a type of sports bettor where they have low variance, high reward, but high variance, low risk, low reward. And what middlers do is they're experts at market movements. So they try and figure out just those types of things. So you would have to have a significant idea that the line would move drastically to make it a positive on both play. And the other thing too is you would have to have a really large bankroll, because you might have to bet max like very, very large on one side and very, very large on another to make a middling play profitable. You know what I mean? So it's difficult. You'd have to like, and the other thing too is, what if you get caught? What if you bet one side assuming that there's going to be a line movement to the other so you can get both and it doesn't move? So then what you might have to do is bet on the other side and just lose the juice. So it's a tricky game, and you need a lot of money to do it. And because it's like the risk is low, even though to make money you'd probably need to bet, I would say probably 15,000 on both sides. So it's that would be my guess, right? Because you're only going to make a few percentage points on it, so it has to be substantial. So I'm pulling that number out of my ass, 15,000, but I would imagine it have to be in that domain.
And Eric, it's something that we have been doing recently, and after this video, for anyone that has the YouTube membership, we make the betting lines video for the next week. So like after this game's done, like in 2 hours or so, Fat Guy and I sit down, we take a look at every game next week, talk about where the line opened up, where we do think there is value, and where we think the line will move to. So that's usually when we make our plays where we're trying to middle on games. So, you know, there might be a game where a team's at 2.5 and we think they might cross over to 3.5. So you want to get them early at 2.5, or there's 6.5 as well, 7.5 teams. Like there's even 3.5. Like there's lots of different spots where you're trying to look for those middling plays. So. And then there's the new term I've been coining is the Vegas middle. And that's a game like, it's not so much this game, but I'll use it as an example that public are on Buffalo minus 2.5. And then there's a chance that the public could also be on Pittsburgh money line. So a Buffalo win by 1 or 2, Vegas is going to hit real big. Whereas the other options, they still are going to get their money back. They're just not going to get as much as they would if it's a Bills win by 1 or 2 game. With that all being said, too, betting early lines and hoping for line movements it's the most lucrative thing you can do as a sports bettor, but at the same time, it's also it's not the most risky thing, but it's the most risky thing that you can do as a responsible gambler who's trying to make a return over a season. You know, there's obviously like parlays and teasers and all that are way worse, but as far as like respectable things to do to continually grow your bankroll, it's the way that you can take the biggest chunk out of the apple week to week.
That's one thing I do think I can't quantify it quite. Like it's more of, I don't want to say my gut, but it's more difficult, let's say, to put a number on it. But I do feel we do have a good grasp on things, on which direction the line's going to move. We definitely aren't ready for NBA or NHL at the moment.
Word. The only thing I'm disappointed about is that we didn't get all the NBA data for last season, and that's because the NBA season has started so fast that our window just closed. But we do have data on both of those leagues, and I'd say we need 3 to 7 days to prepare for it, but it's something that we can do. And with NBA starting up so soon, it's going to be something that the Fat Guy and I probably end up prioritizing pretty quickly. Because I think the league starts on the 19th, and it's the 13th today. So essentially, if we started working on it tomorrow, we could probably have something ready for the start of the NBA season.
Yeah.
And it would be strictly market stuff. It would have nothing to do with any of the players We're not going to know any players. We're not going to know. We're going to know the teams. Like, at least we know who the teams are. We're not going to know the coaches, nothing like that. It's just going to be off market plays.
We're going to know who likes to put their money where and on what teams.
And what are the different intricacies in the NBA that might be different than other leagues.
Man, Steelers. Come on, I didn't expect that.
Oh, yeah, Vegas makes like 30 to 40% return on parlays.
Which is ridiculous. Think of that investment-wise. They're making 30%. Like, and we've seen it for 30 years. We've seen the data.
Yeah.
There's a bad year for Vegas in a parlay would be 22%. That's a bad year. Think about that if you're an investor. A bad year for you is 22% a year. That guy doesn't exist. And it's not like they're handling peanuts. I mean, by like a hedge fund status, sure, but it's still how many digits? What? It's in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So it's very impressive. Low hundreds of millions, but
there's the Vegas middle coming into play with Buffalo up 2. I guess technically this line did close at Buffalo -2. So right now it's a push.
It depends where the distribution of money is on that. Missed Pat. So
it's funny how one score can change.
One missed point changes the trajectory.
Well, I'm just talking about before the score. Steelers were like -150, and now Bills are -150. So it just shows you how quickly things can change on one play. Yeah, Eric, all that kind of stuff is very hard to quantify. Like a team showing up or a team's game plan, it really is hard to quantify.
We believe it or not, we've done stuff like that, Eric, and we have put it into practice into a model, and it has it's difficult to make a model work. Let's put it that way, because it's qualitative data. So I mean that stuff can be pretty weak, right, or very strong, pending on certain things.
So Steelers still have 2 timeouts. They could put up points by the end of this half. So Steelers look like they're just happy to take this into halftime. So the Bills end up with the lead to end this game, or end this half, I should say. Reed must be $80 off by 80%. Yeah, I forget what the actual stat is. He's been very good after buys, but who knows? That's like it could be like one of those stats with Kirk Cousins, right? Like Kirk Cousins does bad against
I
winning
I
teams.
I gotta go on a rant on about that. I hate that stat. I've heard that from every square in the world. Oh, Kirk Cousins can't win on prime time. He can only get it done on Sunday morning. Think about this. There's a list of starting quarterbacks that have consistently started their job because they need to have a sample of primetime games is Kirk Cousins. So over the last 10 years, let's call that 100 maybe. And out of that 100, there's got to be a guy who performs exceedingly well and exceedingly bad. It's going to someone naturally has to fill that trend. Out of those 100 guys, there's going to be a guy that just the math of it. That's what's going to happen, right? And to say, oh, it's Kirk Cousins personally, no, not at all, not in the slightest.
With that sample, like 6 games, Eric, on anything is just too small of a sample.
It's nothing. Sorry, it's not you, Eric. I'm just so annoyed when I've heard that, And I the funny thing is, I never defend it. I never argue with them. I go, oh yeah, because I know, personally, it sounds a bit sharky, but I'm gonna get a good price against them, if I have to bet with them, because now they've shown their hand, Shouldn't be teaching people how to hustle in a bar, but all you do is let people explain their opponents fully, and then let them back those opinions with money. It rarely works out for them. And the best part is when it does work out for them, it makes them think that their opinion's better than it actually is, rather than a random happenstance of math just performing in nature, right? So, I don't know. That's been a big income for the fat guy for many, many years, is those types of strategies. But the thing is, they get to bet on the teams they like, so I don't feel bad. I just get I get a good line and I get the other garbage. I don't even care who it is at 9 times out of 10. Well, actually, I never actually care who it is.
Yeah, Corey, that's the one thing that I'm disappointed in is I don't have a lot of data from the bubble.
I was just explaining how whenever you're hearing someone's opinion, someone that likes to gamble in real life, that it's just let them finish their thought, and then you'll usually get a price taking the other side. By a count, you just cast doubt. Well, I don't know, maybe, and then you go the other way, and you usually get a good price. Good way to make a buck or two in real life, assuming you have good street cred. Paul Gunther got fired. Wow. Wow, I did not. He just got fired. What? The Raiders fired their D coordinator after that performance. I don't blame them, but I would not have expected that. It's hard to say, Don. It hasn't even been a year yet. They're having success, though. He's had really successful seasons with the Chargers. I don't know if he's playing better, but the team is Colts are a well-coached, well-oiled team. Yeah. And it depends which iteration of the Chargers. There's been better Charger teams than the current Colts team now. Not that many, though.
Eric, I'd say it depends. I don't think those two things correlate. You're changing your NFL to MMA pick to Chase Young, yeah. He had quite the game today.
I considered him. He's pretty young, though.
Oh, here you go, guys. Here's the playoff picture for everyone that's asking. It pretty much all the top 6 seeds on both sides are locked in, other than Washington and the Giants. Packers are favorite for the bye. I was just gonna say, Eric, this is like, it's pretty funny, but maybe the fat guy and I need to take a page out of this guy's book. Just hold a scrap of papers in one side with nothing written on it. Wear a tie. This guy looks like he dressed Anderson Cooper.
This looks like the guy during the election. I think it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is that guy. I think Mickey had mentioned it.
It makes sense. I'm not familiar with her, Eric, but it's hard to compete against any woman.
The
When it comes to
Texas School
views.
for the Deaf won a Division One. What? Sorry, that was just insane. They won a title. Good for them, man. God, some of the underdog stories are overblown, but I really like that one. That's great.
Yeah, Buffalo and Toronto, Canada are very, very closely situated. You're at For some reason the fat guy and I live in Canada, but we definitely don't need snow blowers where we're from. I'll have to check it out later, Eric. I just watched some of it on mute. I get it. It's some dude's writing a script for a chick and she's reading pics. That's it's
Well,
not a
what
bad,
type? Sorry, go ahead.
well, it's a good strategy. It's better than you and I, our ugly mugs, being on camera every day.
What was that? Sorry. Oh, without a.
Eric was talking about how he really likes this one show, and it's this girl who does pics, and he likes how how he delivers the pics, or how she delivers them.
Yeah, I mean, women. I'm an ugly man. You know.
I always remember there was this guy or girl. I'm sure she's still doing what she's doing, but I don't have social media anymore. And she just has huge tits, and she literally just like shakes them back and forth as she reads whatever script was put up for her. And she was giving pics and stuff too. I always found it funny.
Well, yeah, my ex-girlfriend obviously looked a certain way. She got drunk, flipped her car multiple times, wrecked it, and the cop didn't write her a ticket. He drove her home, and he asked for her phone number. She didn't get anything, and she got a brand new car out of it. Unbelievable. Whereas if I did that, I'd be in prison for the rest of my life. That's just the way life is. We have some advantages for being a man, some not. And one is I can have all the knowledge in the world, but if it's delivered differently, it might work out. Wow. You know, it is what it is, Josh, you know. Swole, what book type of books are you actually looking for? Yeah, she got away with a lot, Mickey. You have no idea.
Well, I hope if you write a script, I hope you're not repeating yourself. That's just bad writing, but it's good for her. I know Sportsbook Review is like a pretty big company, so they've got a whole production team working on it.
Oh, SBR, yeah. You said or book the recommendation, fat guy? Like what did you mean? Like
he wants to know if there's any good books to make money betting people at a bar.
Sorry, you cut out. To make money betting at a bar? Oh, not that I know of.
If you were going to bet people at a bar, is there a book that would give you tips on how to make good bets? Who's lined up in the
I mean, you could do a psychological book. You could read something like that Dale Carnegie book. What is it? Was it How to Make? I can't remember. How to Win Friends and Influence People. You know, something like that. I was talking about as far as making money on a bar bet is finding someone that'll pay cash, someone that likes gambling, and is an emotional bettor. Find something they're emotional about, and then make them put money on their convictions, right? So you have to finesse it in a certain way, but you know, just make it so it's always best when they think it's their idea. You know, because you let them go for a long time, give them rope, and then go, you know, maybe I kind of like the other team now that you mention it. I don't know. And then as soon as you cast doubt, then their chest puffs up, then they're gonna want to usually back that up, and they're like, well, we can settle this monetarily, right? It's always a move. And then when they win, you always say that you were wrong, and then that'll, you know, even though that's not really how bets work, there's no one that's really right. Well, just whoever won or lost isn't necessarily right or wrong. Someone probably got a good price, someone probably got a bad price, and that's really just it, right? The luck involved in this stuff is insane.
Swole, you're laughing, but I've seen the fat guy do this probably at least 100 times, and I've only been there less than 1% of the time. So.
Oh, easily. So, there's a famous one between my friends. I had lost. I think I had to pay out one of our friends. What was it? 400 and something bucks. I lost on one of those bets, and I always used to. My trick was always to do it in 20s or 10s, so that it looked more money, and always do it in front of other people, because then it gives you this validation. So at least I'm going to get some visual of me paying out, so then people think that I'm easy money, right? And then they also have confidence that I'm going to pay them, right? And that's another thing, you always have to pay, and you always have to pay very quickly in those types of situations. And then what you do is anyway, so I paid this friend out, and then we were all talking about, it was about 6 years ago, and the Jets were playing the Steelers. It was maybe longer, 7. It was a Geno Smith game, and I knew the line was it was the Pittsburgh minus 4.5. And then I listened to people talk about the game, and every guy in the room, all 10 or whatever guys, or 11, are talking about how good the Steelers are and how bad the Jets are. And so I'm like, and then I waited for like 10 minutes, and I was kind of asking them leading questions, purposeful questions that highlighted Steelers' advantages and Jets' weaknesses. And then eventually I said, you know what, I'll take the Jets. I'm like, but if I have to take the bad team, then I better get a good price. I'm like, you better give me something like 3.5 to 1, which 3.5 to 1 I know correlates to, about a 9 or 10.5 point underdog, right? Where it was a 4.5 point underdog. And I know they're going to look at the spread, but they won't look at the money line, so they won't understand where it correlates. And then sure enough, I got him to take the Jets, and then we bet it I said, why don't we just bet your profit? But realistically, he's not betting his profit. So that 400 or whatever, I got 3.5 times that. And then it hurt him. Let's put it that way. So it's just one of those things. But you're never forcing anybody. It's just the art of the hustle. This is a hustle business, right? People want to wager. And the other thing, too, is they get to back their convictions. So people love being right. Yeah. So anyway, I went a long rant about that. That's one of my good life. Well, I don't know if it's a good life skill, but it's one of the things that served me well for a very long time.
I think you've got a lot more experience than a lot of other people do.
Oh yeah, at bar hustles, sure, absolutely. Yeah, I'm also probably the most generous guy in the bar when it comes to buying drinks and things like that. But that's also part of it too, right? Because you have to keep your rep in good standing. And if you're always a miser, you're going to get way less action. So that's actually plus EV too. It's better if you don't drink, though. Yeah, bottom line, though, just let people bet with their convictions, and they'll usually take a bad line, but they get entertainment. They also get to bet on what they believe in, and you're just making a math play, a business decision. Simple as that. I think you both win. You just usually win monetarily. They win the bragging rights or whatever they feel. Because you're giving them that feeling they need. They want validation or they don't.
Ironically, the Vikings Stadium is the exact same roof design as they have at BC Place Stadium, which is in Vancouver. And that roof hasn't collapsed yet, but, fingers crossed, maybe one day it will.
Well, we're not going to get a 1.5. They got 1.5 feet of snow in one day. That's kind of what spurned it. The Bills are pulling away a little bit here.
Diggs had a killer instinct for that end zone.
A lot of time left. Dawn, I like it. Usually you're the one saying it's over. I like it. There is a lot of time left. This doesn't mean anything. They're at a disadvantage of the Steelers, I would say.
Yeah, live line's 5.5, but Steelers are favored to get it within 5.5.
So when money line stated minus better or plus better. Oh, plus. You always want plus. Plus is way better. Minus is just how deep your commission goes. Oh, PowerPoints. That's like lightning betting. Dude, that looks scary. Huh. I've never done that before. I've heard of it. I've never actually done it, though.
So, for instance, the Pats game was what, a 45-point difference against the Chargers, and the Chargers were what, let's say 1-point favorites. So you'd have to pay 46 times whatever the bet is if you lose.
Well, no. They usually cap it. What he's bringing up, I just realized. There's a Pinnacle did a really nice podcast about it. It's called Points Betting. They do it in I think Europe started it. I think it's a European thing, from what I understand. There's a cap on both, on wins and losses, but I think there's very little, like, it's only been experimented with in North American markets. And maybe if there was data on I don't know what sports they would do, what European sports they would do it in. I can't think of European sports where they score lots of points. Maybe cricket, but is there even a cricket betting market? Either way, I would imagine that when another sport has kind of utilized it, that there would probably be value in studying the past markets to try and make the transition, because it's going to be rocky. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to get it right away.
Well, I know Artie Lang, a famous sports bettor, just famous gambler, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
well, famous
comedian
who gambled, and I know he told stories about how he used to bet. I don't know what his unit size was, probably, let's say $100, but they would bet. Him and Norm Macdonald would bet every single over/under.
They were doing $1,000 a point.
Yeah, $1,000 a point. So, like, if an over/under hit by 10, it was 10 grand, and I'm sure those can get out of hand pretty quickly.
Yeah, there has to be some sort of cap on the over, because, like, what if a game goes to triple overtime? The first bet I ever made sports bet I ever made in Vegas was the worst bet I've ever made. I took over 160 in a Maverick something or other game, and it took 3 overtimes to get there. That was way back when I was only 21. 150 American. So stupid.
Don, the fat guy is very, very knowledgeable when it comes to betting on stuff. So he's a good person to listen to, and a person that you can learn a lot from. A lot of experience and a lot of books. Like, what are you're over 100 books, you'd think?
Gambling books specifically, I'm going to say 60. Gambling related books, I'd say 200, 250 maybe. Yeah. I'm going through my library right now. So, like, there's things like, for instance, The Wisdom of Crowds, good example. Thinking Fast, Thinking Slow. What else are we going to go with? What's another good one? Oh, yeah. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I'm trying to think of other lateral ones. Philip Tetlock. Super Forecasters. God, there's a lot. Field Guide to Lies. There's a whole bunch. Yeah, whole bunch. I'm trying to remember all the ones I've read in the last couple of years at least. So.
We don't have any point totals that we jump on historically, unless, fat guy, you've got one that you might have in your mind. Like, obviously, if a game opens at 3, we're going to take the over. If a game opens at 99, we're going to take the under. But
yeah.
Those are realistic.
I'll say this: the best, like, because you have to have a mathematical approach, right? And you can't just look at a point spread and say, I will, like, one way or another. I will say this though: if it looks too good to be true, there's no way it could go under, or it's no way it could go under that number, then usually take the under, because you're missing something. Because think about this: if at a glance you look at that, and that's your gut, your system one thinking. If at a glance you see that, and you get pulled in, oh my. If your gut says that, then your system one thinking, as Daniel Kahneman would say, then it's other people's are gonna be like that, and they're probably going to take over that number. And if that's attractive to the average person, emotional person, then do you know what I mean? Then it's probably a good bet. I don't know what just happened. It looked like he fumbled, but
this has to be a fumble touchdown for the Bills. Yeah, it looks like he's down before the ball comes out, so Steelers might get really lucky here. Andre Roberts with a nice return.
Josh Norman's playing special teams. Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, no kidding. What was that? A block in the back? So this is going to come back. Negates the nice return from Andre Roberts. Otis, I'm a terrible cook. I'm not a bad cook. I'm just not that interested in cooking. I don't know. I'm not that interesting of a person. I really like this.
Oh, jeez.
I play some video games. Spend lots of time with my wife. Hang out with the fat guy, and that's about it. Pretty simple.
He likes strategy games. Big Rye does. And Big Rye likes excising. He likes putting time into understanding and perfecting strategy.
That's a good way of putting it, better than I could. I was at the bank and I had to give my profession, and I made my wife laugh because I just said computers. Even the teller laughed. Like, what does that mean? Computers.
Well, what does that mean?
I don't like chess. I don't play chess. Fat guy plays chess.
I play it as a just a brain wake up. I don't actually try and be competitive with chess. I don't study it. I have too many things to study, but I will play it every day as a brain wake up. You know, it's kind of like my brain smelling salts. I play poker pretty competitively for reasonable money, so sometimes you need like, you know, something to jog your brain. Oh, Zaps went under on that. It was a square move to go under on that. And I think it was 36.5. I heard of people taking that. That's very interesting. I like that Zaps play. It was 15-0, right? Yeah. I was eyeing that yesterday. I just don't. I don't often bet college football, so it wouldn't have been scientific for me to bet that. But I did. It did resonate with me. That's for sure.
Yeah, Zaps. We don't have anything to back this up, but usually if like an OU is really low, you probably want to take the under, and if an OU is really high, you probably want to take the over, because like how far can you like deviate from what would be standard? And like I know Fat Guy, what was it, the Pistons unders, or was it the Celtics unders?
Celtics unders.
We're talking like when Garnett got there, and
2009,
there, and they had Kendrick playing center.
Kendrick Davis, Big Baby.
No, there was Big Baby Davis, but then there was Kendrick Perkins is who I'm thinking of.
Kendrick Perkins, there you
go. There's nothing interesting in Canada.
Well, our internet is interesting enough for anybody. Yeah. There's something out there for everyone.
For the last few years, Jonathan, the only game I've played is it's an MMORPG on PlayStation. And it's like I don't even really like the game. I just like the social aspects and the people that I play with. I surely don't dance ballet. I played soccer and basketball growing up. I grew up going to lots of Canucks games, so I'm a pretty big Canucks fan. I like hockey. I like the NHL. I like watching the NHL.
He's still very analytical in his approach to the National Hockey League. Yeah, that's the way to look at it, Don. It ain't over. It's not looking good for the Steelers, but that's life, right? No, he's a little younger than that, Don, but good one.
Yeah, you meet a lot of bulimic ladies that are very highly disciplined. I don't think you'd like it as much as you think. That's it reminds me of a funny story. I had I'll just say a family member that decided to take cooking in school, a male family member, so they could meet chicks. And apparently every other guy thought the same thing, so it was just a cooking class with all dudes. The secret, if you had to go over and you had to go into anything, go into marketing. all marketing
Yeah.
is
Things that look good.
yeah, let's put it that way. And I know some other people that they'll do like women's studies. That's definitely not where you want to be.
No, no, no. I wouldn't imagine. Typing class was 1960.
Yeah, Untouchable Jay's a part-time gynecologist. He even checks me out once in a while. Turns out the front door and back door are pretty close. Yeah, Corey, it scared me away from Pittsburgh, but it's so easy after the fact to say, oh, I didn't do this or I didn't do that, and Steelers could score 3 touchdowns in the last however many minutes there are. Yeah, I don't know. For all the videos I watch, pizza delivery guys really clean house.
Shout out to Big Sausage Pizza. My friend Jeff went his Halloween like 10 years ago as that guy. It was pretty funny.
That's not bad. Well, the books do well for NBA. The books do well in every sport. The only sport where they've been bested is MLB, and they've still won a lot over the long term.
What's that? So you say MLB?
Yeah,
Yeah, they still did. The interesting thing though is that's the only sport they actually took losses in though.
and that's
You know?
only betting money line stuff. I'm sure there's parlays and stuff that
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
make it
absolutely.
positive.
Absolutely, but that's still interesting to me. Do you know what I mean? That like they actually took a loss. It's in the last 30 years they've lost 4 or 5 years in baseball.
Yeah, I definitely need to cup up, Jay. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see more data on that, Eric, to know. Like, I always bring up the Canucks as an example because teams used to have to come in schedule-wise and play 3 games in 4 nights, and usually the 4th night was in Vancouver, and it was usually like a Saturday night game, and guys would come in on late flights Friday night, end up partying, and they'd be dog shit that game. And so everyone went, oh, the Canucks have really good home ice advantage, when really there was circumstances. So I wouldn't be surprised if Utah, Denver had similar type of things where teams made road trips and they were very specific on when they show up. Because, like, the leagues are getting smarter. Like, you don't go from, like, an NBA team won't travel. At least I think they don't. It's not like they're going to go to LA, then New York, and then Seattle, and then Florida. Like, it just doesn't make sense, right? There's no point in having teams fly cross country every single night to play games. Yeah, Eric, some of like the more niche things like WNBA, UFC, like the markets where there hasn't been a lot of games or hasn't been a lot of interest, you can definitely take advantage. Even like the smaller market, like college basketball, college football games, there's sharps that do really well. Prop betting, you can find stuff that's very, very interesting, like depending on if you want to put the research in. Motorsports is another excellent one. Motorsports is not that heavily bet in North America, but I'm sure there's other parts of the world that do bet motorsports a little bit more. there's advantage in any of those smaller markets. The bigger markets, the marketplace becomes
Harder.
stronger, and it is harder to win. But that also does, the harder it is to win, the more opportunity there is for the stuff that the fat guy and I focus on in the NFL. Whereas, you know, a contrarian play in a Division III college basketball game being played between Bumber Bean and Beamer Bum, like, it's market plays don't always work there, or at least contrarian market plays. Yeah, Zaps, it's very common to see like 99% of the money on a team in a college basketball play. And that just might be like, literally, it could be one dude just betting $2,000. Like, there might be no one else betting that game. Like, those games are also like, if you talk about fixing games, if you were going to fix a game, like a small school college basketball game could be fixed, whereas it's a lot harder to fix something like an NFL game or an NBA game. No, it's easy to fix an NBA game. It's just if there are people fixing them. Yeah, Zap said it best. You can get a big edge in low-profile games. Will the Lakers win the final again? I have absolutely no clue.
Idea. No clue. Steelers 11-0 to 11-2 potentially.
It's funny because like people are gonna people are gonna take the Steelers obviously off the high horse, but I wonder if this will have a more negative effect on people viewing the Steelers going forward. Otis, that sounds like a really, really good idea. That's the one thing I get worried about sometimes, is that stuff can get lost in the mix, like especially some of the
That's a good
stuff
idea. That's a great idea.
Not everybody wants to scroll through 200 messages to find.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea. Man, everyone in that Discord has great ideas for the most part. At least things, even if it's wrong, it's something to explore. That one we'll definitely do.
Dylan's got a lot on the line lately, so he's been taking it. He's been taking it easy. And historically for NFL, we prefer high volume games because it's just been more successful for our style. And it's something to be said that maybe going against what we think in smaller market games might be a better way to go. So it's interesting correlation to look into. There's no live line out right now, but the Bills are probably like minus 500 to win, minus 600.
Yeah, we have a Discord, Jonathan, with we made it part of the membership. It's $5 a month. We're not trying to shill, but it's just we have to add one of those things, and it's a good way to, because if we had an open Discord, it wouldn't really work, I don't think. So, yeah, it is a part of the membership. I didn't, Jonathan. I'm pissed about it now. I saw an 8-1 line and I just forgot about it. And I'm really pissed about it. So that was we all liked it, including myself. Just one of those things. I said it and I didn't do it, and off you go. I'd like to give you the fake answer, but I just don't have it. Yeah. Philly was the favorite. So this is gonna sound really bad, Otis. The answer to that. For that kind of stuff, I'm a borderline sociopath. Like, if it will make me money to talk, I'll do it. If it will cost me money to talk, I won't. So usually, what I'll do is I do use speech play a little bit. So I'm pretty proficient in that type of stuff. So you need a lot of experience to use speech play, because what I'll try and do is get someone who's dangerous, engrossed in a story, and then I want to see when they have a big hand, what type of, like, how often they slow down during that story. Because what happens is when you get someone engaged in a story, is I'll use speech to prompt other people to talk, and I want the people that are threats to talk. And that way, if someone is a threat, they're going to tighten up, and they're less likely to bluff you because they have camaraderie for it with you. So I will use speech in that way. If it's a bunch of old guys that are kind of, there's nothing to gain from, and they'll know my shtick, I'll just shut up and be nice and try and let the game go faster. So yeah, I didn't pull the trigger on that one. It was really annoying. I'm mad about it, be honest. Because I like, part of it, I do like Washington. Like, it's my speed. Also, old guys aren't into telling stories really, unless they're really there. Like, I don't know, they rarely are. Let's put it that way. So it's another reason. You moneyline wash today? Right on, right on. Defense had a big game, 2 touchdowns, fantastic. I think Washington's defense could be historic, depending on how they draft and coach the next couple years. So we'll see. Who's my favorite poker player? I don't know if I have a favorite. Let's say, like, I will. I'll give a little bit of insight. I used to grow up. Do you ever watch High Stakes Poker, Otis? I used to. There's a Canadian guy that used to be on it, Brad Booth, and I used to be reasonably close, well, not close to him, let's say, but he was a friend of mine, and we used to play together. Um, uh, he's not my favorite, but I rooted for him to win the most. As far as watching poker, I don't get a lot of enjoyment out of it. Uh, the best guy to watch is Linus Love, Linus Lolliger, but he plays at a level that you'll never play. He plays pure GTO, which is really bad to play actually against really bad players. You want to play exploitative, so I like watching him play because it's interesting, and I don't understand all of the GTO plays. But as personality wise, I always liked how stoic Antonius looked. So he would have been my favorite from an entertainment perspective. From him and Linus Love or Lolliger. Yeah. Brad taught me a lot about poker, Otis. But when Brad was a star, I was only 18, 19. He's from the same area I was. So, I used to play Brad once a week, more or less. We used to play a 5-10 game. There's a famous 5-10 game where I live. I used to play in regularly with him. Yeah. That wasn't his money though, Otis. So maybe I shouldn't be saying all this. Yeah, that was Gila Liberte's money, from what I understand. So, Brad told me he was 100% sure that Ivy had queens, kings, or aces. He said queens or kings specifically, and he was leaning towards kings. So he said that his range was condensed to jacks through aces and heavily favored to queens and kings, and aces less so. So, yeah. I of course remember the hand very much so. Yeah, he went missing recently, and they found him, so I was pretty happy about that. So he was nice to me when I was young, just making my way in the gambling world. Another thing too, I was lucky, Otis. I can't really speak for that, Otis, but a lot of those guys on those shows have gone broke lots and lots and lots of times. A lot of that money is staked, or they have very few pieces of themselves. Few guys are able to go gate to wire and never really bust. So Gabe Kaplan was fantastic. Oh, the Steelers are driving here. We might get a touchdown. They're in 4-down territory. Considering they're down more than 2 touchdowns, so they could tie it up with 2 touchdowns and 2 extra points. So Gabe's a seasoned player, Otis. So welcome back, Cotter. Absolutely, Mr. Cotter. John Travolta. Yeah. Here we go. We got a first down. We're first and goal. Pittsburgh. It's coming back on the 18th, Otis. You have to get it from Poker Go. So the new show is coming back with Gabe Kaplan on the 18th of December. You got Pitt plus 7.5, and you have the Bills. Well, you might have a middle. It was the most entertaining poker show, Otis. My girlfriend even likes it. She doesn't know much about poker. My girlfriend's a Doyle Brunson fan. I hate an empty set of 2. I completely agree. Josh? Yeah, well, there's a lot of things that there's a lot of luck involved. Phil Ivey was a 10-20 player, and he moved up in stakes. Wow, touchdown, Juju Smith-Schuster, fantastic. He moved up in stakes to play at what's it? The guy who owns Hustler, Larry Flint's game, and and he got down to his last big bet, and if he called and lost, he would have had to go back down to 10-20, and he happened to call and win, and because they play limit games there, and Larry rarely bluffs, and he happened to be bluffing, and then he happened to call and win, and then that started a streak, and then that streak was just kind of never ending. Right, he got better than the stakes that he played at. That's a big problem people don't understand is when you move up in stakes in poker, it's a bad idea because it's a pyramid. Eventually, there's going to be 20 guys that the ecosystem can support at the top, and what it takes to get to the top and stay there is an unimaginable amount of dedication, commitment, resilience, and luck too. So those are really bad strategies. So that's why I hardly ever recommend playing poker as a living to anybody, despite having done it a lot of my life, more or less. So, mind you, I just try and get good at being a good middle stakes player. That's it. Can never lose too much, never win too much, but I can still have a good living. So, you throw in some sports betting, and I'm a happy clam. So, and the other thing too is it's peeling the onion. You have to have respect for anything you do, right? Sports betting, playing poker, whatever it is, if you're actually trying to make a go at it, you have to have respect for that vocation and always peel the onion and always trying to be open to learning something. And even someone that's not that intelligent might have an intelligent idea. So that's the smartest people I know. They've been the best listeners, and I always think that's the best idea is they always give people, because if they're really smart, everyone else than them is of less intelligence. So, but they always seem to want to know those people's ideas. So I find that very, very interesting. No, I think it's way harder, Eric. Way harder. To make money, to make a living doing those things, it's way harder. Because you can be a good poker player regionally and terrible internationally and still make a living.
Somehow poker is a lot more competitive than sports gambling.
It is and it isn't. You're doing the same thing in both vocations. You're trying to find a mark, more or less, a guy that doesn't understand the prices of something. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, in my opinion, the thing is, it's only what's available to you. If you're trying to make a living playing poker online, Eric, I would highly suggest getting a job. The road is paved with tears, and the ending isn't that good, and it's very, very, very difficult. If you have local games that are really bad and you can beat, then I would take it up. I would consider. You also have to have a whole bunch of other stuff go your way. You got to be good with. You have to be emotionally strong at handling losses, and sometimes it takes a while. But yeah, it's all of this stuff is difficult.
Ironically, we have the exact same score as the Washington game early on at 23-15.
There's no easy way making a living gambling. It's the hardest way to make an easy living. They always say that. The Steelers are alive here. This is still a game. Well, not always, you know. What if you lived in an area with a bunch of old guys that like pissing their money away playing poker? Wow. Wow, that was a big shot by the Bills. And there was tons of pressure. Holy. He got more time than I would have expected. Wow. Avery Williamson, of course, having to be a replacement player for the injured Steelers defense. Not that injured, but a little bit.
I don't have the math to back it up, Eric, but I feel like the rake on horse racing is very high.
Yeah. Yeah. Very high.
What is it, like 20%?
I think it's bigger, right? It's part of mutual betting. So I think it can go up to 30. But the one thing about sports betting or sports horse racing rather is there are some websites that are going to be starting to offer it. There's a chance it comes back because it is sedentary, and I feel like gambling is just really going to be an entertainment aspect. So, I mean, there might be a horse race at Balmoral Park or whatever, but someone like Pinnacle might offer odds on it that'll give you better than the pari mutual can. There'll be less rake at least. In theory, just something that I've seen. And not Pinnacle per se.
Yeah.
Steelers needed a stop here, and it doesn't look like they're going to get it. Well, yeah, that's what they all do, Eric. It's those are meant as revenue boosters for the region, right? That's the whole designation of pari mutual and why it's like that way. It's like that everywhere, right? It's not just New Jersey. Well, that's the purpose of it. It's like a lottery system, Eric. That's how they can justify legalizing it. So I understand why they do it that way. You're not meant to beat it. Like that's not what the goal is, right?
It's much more like entertainment betting.
Yeah, that's the idea, right?
This is what they're gonna find.
David, there's a old school gambler and interesting author, David Sklansky, who has a lot of ideas about how it's morally it's morally disgusting that how casinos operate, but that's for another argument.
Well, my favorite, I'm always gonna bring this up, is Keno. It's what is
Worst
it, 9 million to 1, and you get paid $200,000.
Yeah, for all 10 numbers.
That's the craziest thing I've
8.7
ever
million.
heard. They're stealing. Like, they're actually stealing.
It's stealing.
People.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, the people
stealing.
willingly give their money, but it's...
Yep, it's stealing.
I guess every betting is to a certain point. It's just eventually when the stake gets high enough, it becomes so crazy.
Well, they justify it by showing the odds on the back. However, However, what was I going to say? Sorry, what was I going to say? They put the odds on the back, so they justify it, but then at the same time, they advertise all $200,000 winners.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was laughing. I saw a DraftKings commercial, and the entire time they're talking about how DraftKings is, $1 million winner every week or whatever it is. And what they don't say is, like, people are giving them, what, $7 million to pay out that $1 million? Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah, you're in a very lucky spot, Swole. I mean, like, and you also like how like it can be a passive thing, but I mean, like, have you really tracked your results? Like, like when you do live, there's lots of good apps, right? So it's hard to even say what you've made money unless you really have like your hourly rate and stuff. Like there's here, I'm gonna try and show you without actually showing my hourly. There's Poker Manager Pro. Oh, geez, it doesn't let you. Okay, like I can't show it. Anyways,
I think you can explain it though. Like you take how much you make or lose per session, you divide it by how many hours you play, and
more or less.
Also,
yeah, and your location and the buy-in size and all that kind of stuff, and then you can kind of and your time too, and then you can hone when's your best time if you have a large enough sample. So. Yeah, live. So there's a lot more tools for live stuff now than there ever was.
Well, even like when DraftKings came out and them and FanDuel were doing like 1 million commercials, and they were talking about daily fantasy stuff. Like the
rip-off.
It's minus 115 to do any of that stuff, and I'd say your chance of winning is even lower than 50%.
It's shark infested too.
Yeah, because you're playing heads up most of the time against very, very, very sharp people that are playing thousands of games a day.
Well, because it's not like playing a guy high stakes poker, right? Where all of his focus is attached.
It's like playing Phil Ivey 10,000 times. That's what it is.
Yeah, but he just has to set his lineup. Do you know what I mean? Well, exactly. Like it's easy.
They have tools that set up their lineups, so it's
exactly
not even
right.
like
so they don't have to do anything. So that means you have pros. You have elite pros at the $2 game all the way up top, right?
And most of those guys are using insider information because they either work for the company or are getting data from people who work for the company. So it's insane. Like it really is crazy. I love the story about the baseball writer who played 50 games in 50 days and he only won 3. Like I know you and I talked about the coin flip and like how well we're doing. Like imagine how many times would a coin flip heads 2 or less times in the sample of 50. It's almost impossible.
It's pretty low. Funny thing now is I could actually run a simulation and tell you a good idea. This game is dragging. We barely talked about it.
Yeah, I feel like it's going on forever, and I thought this would be a really fun game, but it's been all right.
I heard that they set thousands of lineups, to be honest.
Yeah, Jonathan, I've heard thousands. Like the real high stakes professionals, because there's just so much. Like you're not playing against the books, like you're playing against like your drunk buddy who's setting his lineup at 3 a.m. the night before. Like that's it, like these aren't fair. They're not fair matchups. And for anybody who's just a square, or even if the fat guy and I played at minus 115, I can almost guarantee we're not making money or we're very close to break even. Like there's just not a lot of meat on the bone.
Poker Manager Pro. I suggest upgrading Poker Manager to Poker Manager Pro. So
for a lot of this stuff, it's very important to understand also the return on your time. Like the fat guy and I we have sunk thousands of hours into all of this stuff, and for the amount of money that we've made doing it is laughable.
Yeah, it's
like
laughable almost.
It's going to be less than $1 an hour, like over the last whatever it is.
Well, I mean that's if you use direct, like a direct correlation. I would say in my life it has enhanced me, and I'm at a point where, like, you know, without giving to it, it's financially enriched me a lot, but not directly. Do you know what I mean? Like I've had to use that information to make inferences, and I'm a bit more of a go-getter than you when it comes to producing money. But that's not like we have different goals, right? So you know what I mean? And I'm still not like, I'm not going out there and crushing because I like money. I'm just doing it because you got to live, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Online poker is insanely hard. You need software, Squall. You need to software, game selection, all that stuff. You know, like, for instance, you have to save all your hand histories. Then you have a database of players. Then you have to actively search out the bad players, and then you have to study them beforehand so that you know what stats their weaknesses and which ones are exploitable. So what their leaks are. So
and you're talking about things to just be difficult. Even. Like you're not even talking about winning. You're talking about having an even playing field.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's still ways to beat it, but it's so difficult it's not worth it. And you have to know which other pros are doing the same thing as you and just staying away from them. For instance, well, not necessarily. Even if, say, you have 5% advantage on a guy, but you have 20% advantage on another guy, it's not worth the variance of the 5% when you can get the 20% all day. And not to mention that's perceived value of 5%. So it's very that could be wrong. You could be a small dog, right? So because it's very hard to have a sample size large enough where you really know definitively a true picture against a good player. All these things, very difficult. It's going to be tough for the Steelers to come back. I could see him getting a quick score, though. Not that they've been privy to it lately.
I'm just happy for my brother who has the Bills -2.5 in this game.
Yeah, he's going to be happy. Your brother's a Bills fan. I like the Ravens tomorrow, but that was that I'm not laying 3.5. That was when they were 1 point. I think I have Ravens -1 and -1.5. So that the book shut on that. I don't like that closing line. So I would consider the Browns at 3.5, but that would be my only consideration. I'm certainly not laying 3.5 with the Ravens. Yeah, that's tough. That was a nice front flip into on his head.
I'm just not sure how it's not a flag on Poyer for getting in his face after, but that's whatever.
I bet you 3 is right. Browns +3 is probably about right. You know what I mean? That's probably equilibrium where you'll make Vegas will make money on either side. So, or the bookmaker rather.
I don't think it's a good sign for Cleveland if it pushed to 3.5. Like that's passing over 3 as a key number is just not.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
And Eric brings up a big point. A lot of shifting this year. Is it me or more this year than in the past? More than I can remember, to be honest, Eric. I've had this conversation before.
It's more than I can remember as well. It's been, especially like over key numbers. Like you used to not get this at all. So it's even more enticing now if this is how the market's going to be to bet early. And it feels like the books are really trying to like even things out, and the line movement might be more telling than a lot of other things. You say all that though, like I remember, what was it, 5 weeks ago, I was on the wrong side, I think, of 2 or 3 lines, and that was the difference that week of going 5-0 and going 2-3. So
2-3.
it's
That's
it's one of those
that's
things
life.
where you're gonna take those losses if you're using that type of strategy, and ideally you want to bet at the start of the week and be on the right side of the line, which is much easier said than done. Unless you're the fat guy who's somehow been on the right side of most lines this year.
Yeah, but that's probably good variance. You know. I
Yeah.
think I do have an intuitive knowledge about it, but I mean, I almost it probably in the eyes of someone else, I sound as hokey as a square does to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe I think that I know what I'm doing, but I like that I have a decent sample. You know what's actually interesting is our little our record on YouTube. Someone said you guys are barely better than a coin flip. Sheesh. And I wrote back to him that over that sample, 52 or 53% was pretty good. But then I realized I don't actually know how good it is. So I actually created a Monte Carlo simulation to find out. And it is there's a chance that we're getting lucky, but it's over our sample, our win rate, and this is with bad lines too, and betting every game, which I wouldn't do. It is above expectation, so considerably. So I am happy about that. Not that our YouTube picks really mean anything. It's just more it's more the knowledge behind it. Like that's the stuff I like, is the knowledge behind it. What I actually pick is kind of irrelevant almost. You think you could go over 500 over 5 years? We have. So I don't think it's could I. It's we have.
Well, we're
And
not
yes,
quite at 5 years, at least on YouTube. Like behind the scenes, like we've been over 500 every single year, which is really nice. But even, you know, even at the book we play, if you hit it 51% over the entire season, you're still losing. So it's hitting over 500 isn't really where the goalposts are. It's hitting over whatever the juice is at the book, or
very
the
good
juice
point,
that you
Big
can
Ryan.
get. So if you're betting in Vegas at minus 110, it's 52.38%. And you need to be right 52.3% of the time to break even.
Swole, you can get rich playing poker and betting sports, but what that entails is a very risky bank management strategy. So that means, you're 20 times more likely to be in the poorhouse than you are being rich. Like, so that's the type of trajectory, because you have to take too big a chances. I mean, you could get rich over many, many, many years, like 40, 45 years, but you have to be a really insane sage to do that. But you could, I like I said, I'm not quite a sage. I've been trying to get as high, like as close to I can, because you have to have all your personal life in order as well, which is also, that's a challenge for anybody in any industry, right? So it's very, very difficult to do that. But you can make a comfortable living. I've been able to do it, but am I lucky? That's something I think about all the time. You know what I mean? How lucky am I? And don't forget, there is a lot. I didn't just start out here. There's a lot of failure that's led to this current situation right at the moment. So I thought that was pass interference. I didn't think that was a legit interception, but it is what it is. Bills look like they're on their way to a victory.
The thing that you'll notice too with the fat guy and I is that we actually don't like gambling. Like, we don't get enjoyment. We don't get thrill. We're not chasing the next game. Like, we're looking for opportunities where we think we have a positive edge compared to whatever the implied odds are.
That doesn't mean you can't enjoy something. Like, I got an emotional investment and reaction out of the Steelers football team game, because it was a great game, and I do like the Redskins, and I did bet on them, but that wasn't really the rush. It was like, oh, they're really gonna do it. You know what I mean? So like winning and losing money, it's I don't know. It doesn't really move the needle. I mean, it can sometimes, and I can get emotional about it, but I'll never make an emotional decision. I might get a small util out of it sometimes. They mean everything to me. It was a big hold. I don't think it was necessary, though. Oh, maybe it was. Mitch Morse. pulling it right across. You know, like they always talk about like how good someone's developing when they win a game. It's so like it's so results based, and I really don't care for it, you know. Like I read an article. Didn't read the article. I saw a headline. What's wrong with Russell Wilson today before the game? And in my head, I'm like, what? Because you don't like his last few performances? Like, did he become worse over the last 3 games? It's not even close to true. It's just an iteration. He faced a tough defense, and some things that usually seem to go his way didn't. You know what I mean? It's just it's eventually he's going to run into under expectation, because let's be honest, someone like Russell Wilson has had a lot of over expectation. Well, hate's an emotion, Eric, and that's a terrible way to make a decision. I'm motivated to eat. I'm motivated to keep a roof over my head. That's my motivation. What someone else does for money makes no difference to me.
For the most part, we actually just piggyback on the books. Like if you think about it, the books are almost a monopoly, and we're just taking a little chunk based off of the little amount of data they share with us.
Yeah. Well, or we back sharps too, like, or we end up being balancing. We end up balancing for the books a lot of the time. I think we're doing their work, to be honest, at times. So, Al Michaels, wow, he's in the National Baseball Hall of Fame.
Were they just talking about Al Michaels? Sorry.
Yeah.
The what's interesting is when you use words like dislike or hate, I don't think those are things that are gonna like positively correlate to making good decisions. It might help with research, like it might help you put in more research, but also I like to say like the more research you do doesn't mean that you're gonna win more. Like it's not like the more work you put in, there's no guarantee you're gonna.
There's no. Because you just remind me of something I completely forgot about. Do you remember? Like, you were saying that we've put in thousands of hours. Yeah, but we've done a lot of dumb research. We've done a lot of dumb work that's useless, and we had to learn. You don't know what you don't even know. Do you know what I mean? We put a lot of energy into really bad ideas, lots of times, only to realize, wait, that's a really bad idea. The one thing that's I will say is it's taught us. I think we're good at understanding what a bad idea is by the odd set. We have a better scientific method, if that makes any sense.
More refined.
Yeah, exactly. So it does make you more cynical though as a person, doesn't it ever?
Well, sometimes there's that false optimism, and when you do find something good, you know it's never going to last forever. So you, like, even this year, like the goalposts changed for us, and it just so happened that we've been on the right side of some of our hypothesis. Even though like contrarian betting has become less popular, it's somehow been stronger this year, I feel like, than in past years. Like, remember, like there'd be 2 or 3 games a week that would be under 30% bets on one side, and that just is gone now. Like even the Eagles today, I think we're at 35%. That might have been the lowest I can remember. I think Jacksonville was around 35%, but other than those two, I don't think there was much. Even the like Washington, I made a play on, and that was more because of how the line opened, where it closed at, more so than the actual bet percentages. Also finding it very weird that a majority of the money was on San Fran, but the line moved for Washington, so a reverse line movement, which I feel like reverse line movements have been strong this year. I don't have any data to back that up, but it's just one of those things that it's been an indicator for me this year, and it's been very successful.
I think the secret about Washington might be out about their defense. It's completely out, right? After these two results, them and Philly might be teams to fade. Almost. We're gonna do an early line video as soon as this game ends, and we'll try and go quicker on it to get it out because Big Ryan and I went for like an hour. That's a membership video. It's just $5 a month. I know it sounds like we're shilling, but it's an option YouTube gives us, and we're gonna take it, right? So we'll be having that out for.
It's mainly because so many people have asked us
Yes.
how we feel about lines when they come out, and we want to provide that service without ruining our picks video, because the picks video is mostly entertainment purposes, and when we look at the opening lines, like it's just like our live stream. It's a lot more candid. It's a lot more like it flows back and forth, and we're just looking at the lines and thinking about how that market is going to be affected.
It's more to business than our live stream, though. We just roll through it, right?
Yeah, it's much more. It's very informative. Those videos are very informative, whereas the picks video can be very entertainment based.
I think a lot less finesse and personality out of me. You are unchanged, surprisingly.
I always bring the heat.
No, we posted as a video, Jonathan. Yeah, part of the membership. We put it in like the membership community tab.
Well, you kind of can, Eric, but it's one of those things where, like Fat Guy said, it just might be really good variance. We just might be on a heater as far as predicting how the public feels about lines, how the books are going to adjust lines based off of how people feel.
I got to be honest, though. I am still, more than any money won or lost today, I am more jazzed on picking the line movement of this game. That's the only feather in my cap I've taken in a while. That felt good. To get it from -2.5 to 2.5. Oh yeah, that felt good to nail that one.
You've been on fire this week. You did that. You've done the simulations as far as how our record is. I was very surprised to see how strong our record is. Like, we know it's good, like we knew, but it's nice to put.
It's nice to put pen to paper, as they say.
Yeah, it's nice to have the quantitative results rather than just knowing it's impressive.
Next year, we might put $1,000 into a few different books so that we can line shop, and then do a segment, Fat Guy Gambles, and then start with a arbitrary bankroll, say a few $1,000s, and do the ROI, and then do it on the smaller scale as if we're actually doing it. Have a unit sizing of like $25 or something.
Well, there's also the idea of having a bankroll where people bet for us, which is
that's a fun one. I don't think it'll go very well. That's a fun one, though.
Very well either, but maybe it's something that we could do for the stream, but then double up on the opposite. Behind the scenes.
Yeah, exactly. To make sure we win our money back plus the juice. Well, I got it on the good side of this game, Eric, and this is an example of even being on the good side. Doesn't mean that you're going to win, right? I took the Steelers, didn't work out. That's life, no big deal. I don't regret it. That's the other thing, too.
That's pretty nice, Corey. You're up to 50% now.
We have a stock section now in the BRFG.
I created it. There's been some stock market talk, so I figured I'd start that as well.
Huh. I liked that Miami game. I thought it was a good game. Yeah. I guess that's a way of putting it about. I like Miami every week. They're gonna be. You should be fading Miami pretty hard from here out. I would imagine they've covered more than anybody else.
Yeah.
So
they're 2 games better than anybody else. Like
which is insane.
Flores is to me the hands down coach of the year. I don't think anyone else is close. But obviously there's going to be I don't know if that's what the odds are saying or what the public is saying, but Flores to me I don't even know if he won last year, but he deserved to win last year too.
He didn't win last year.
It's been so impressive what he's done with that team. Miami is to me a scary team moving forward. I think the only uncertainty is Tua. I don't know if I trust Tua, but
he's going to get better though, and I think he's going to have a good future.
I hope so. I don't know if that's the case. I hope so, but we've seen so many rookie quarterbacks that come in with a lot of hype and then, turn into nothing, right? Like keep in mind, like I've had low expectations for Lamar Jackson. I had low expectations for Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, you did. You had very low.
Those are 2 guys that have done really well. But for those 2 guys, there's the 20 other guys that were in similar situations and failed miserably and couldn't even start.
Yeah.
So it's also like Tua coming off his injury and stuff, like there's just lots of things to not like about
I was lower on Herbert than my gut feeling on Herbert over the other 2. I will say this, the only did draft Josh Allen's draft. Big Ryan and I loved Josh Allen and we didn't care for anyone else.
And he's had a really good season. So it's really easy for us to look at it now and say,
exactly.
We did a good job there, but there's tons of players that you hit and you miss on, and that's just how life is.
Jay with a positive day. Good for him. Absolutely. This is going to hurt my profits a little bit, but a good day for me as well. Can't complain.
I'm pretty happy. I was 4-1 today with up 3.5 units.
It's strong. That's strong. I had decent money on the Bucks and the Chargers, so that worked out. Herbert Bear, yeah. Oh, Mickey's just trying to be humble. It doesn't matter. $20 is I'm not gay, but $20 is $20. You know what I mean? It's if you listen to anyone who's even any professional, they don't care how much money it is. It's the unit sizing that's more interesting, right? Because you could be up any amount of money, but if it's just I mean. I have a friend of mine that he could be up $1,200. That's not even a unit. You know what I mean for him. So it's like it's just relative, right? Yeah, if he was down 2,000, it wouldn't even be a unit, right? So that's a break even day for him. Different strokes for different folks, right? It's about ROI, and unit sizing is the best way to quantify. Well, all right, Big Rye, I think we should get to the video.
Yep. All you guys have a very good night. Thanks for joining us for the live stream. Congrats to anybody on Buffalo. I think everybody was on the Steelers, though. I see a couple people celebrating the under, so congrats on the under. And we will. Oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because you're betting. If your bankroll's $500, then that's more than
$5.
acceptable.
That's great. Yeah, no problem. You know what I mean? And I don't ever look down on a man who's trying to just improve himself and his process, regardless of his units $1 or if it's 10,000. You know what I mean? It's hard to get money for down if it's 10,000, but maybe a bad example. But even 5,000, there's a lot of dumb guys that bet $5,000. How about that? I'd rather be a smart guy whose unit sizing is $1. Right? There's something. Knowledge is power, and to me it feels good. Anyways, we better get this movie going.
All right, we will catch you guys
movie?
later.
What a boomer thing! A movie?
You guys
goof.
have a good night.
We gotta get this movie going. What a goof.